in this video, I'll be diving into romance books that I read recently, right? The romance books that I've been reading in the month of February. I'll be sharing my overall thoughts, my experience reading them, and my rating for this book. So I just want you to stay till the end of this video so that you can go away with 1 or 2 books that you'd also be reading. So let's get right into it. So the first book that I'll be talking about is The Bodyguard by Katherine. So The Bodyguard by Katherine follows Hannah and Jack. Hannah is a bodyguard. She works in an executive protection agency. She works as a bodyguard. So, things just happen to her. She loses a loved one. And in that same time where she loses a loved one, her boyfriend breaks up with her. Her boyfriend also happens to work with her in this executive protection agency. So she wants to leave the city. She wants to leave the place she currently is. She wants to take up another mission. She just wants to go far away. The executive protection agency takes up another client, and Hannah is assigned to this client. She wants to leave. She wants her boss to give her another client or give her a case outside of the city, but she's actually assigned to a client within the city, so she cannot leave right away. And this client happens to be none other than Jack Stapleton. Jack Stapleton is a world famous actor, right? He's like a really popular actor. And if you've read rom-comers, I absolutely love the rom-comers by Katherine, right? The male main character in the rom-comers was Charlie. I hope I'm getting it right here, Charlie. And Charlie's friend happened to be Jack Stapleton. So in the rom-comers, we got introduced to Jack, right? But in this story, this is like Jack's story, right? But like Hannah and Jack's story. So we get introduced to Jack. Jack is the client, and his agency has gotten a bodyguard for him because he has had like quite a number of stalkers, and they basically just want to keep him safe, especially since he's moving back into the city. He wants to be close to his family, right? And Hannah is Jack's bodyguard. She starts working as his bodyguard and everything, but due to like some peculiar events and everything, she has to pretend to be his girlfriend. She has to pretend to be in a relationship with him because he doesn't want his family to get worried. He doesn't want his family to know that he actually has a bodyguard. He doesn't want his family to know that they are stalkers and they are threats to his life and things like that. It's the situation that we're in, and because of the peculiarity of the situation, they spend a lot of time together. They are in this fake relationship, right? They spend a lot of time together, and they might just end up having feelings for each other, right? And I don't know, it happens like all the time. Like, have you read a book or have you seen a situation where these two people pretended to be in a relationship and did not eventually develop feelings for each other? I don't know, I haven't seen it. So my thoughts on The Bodyguard. The Bodyguard was a nice read. It was an easy read. It was a cute read, right? It was nice and everything. I did not love it, especially since I read the rom-comers, and I absolutely loved the rom-comers. The rom-comers was like a 5-star for me, right? No spice. There wasn't any spice, and the language was also mild, right? So this is definitely a book that I would recommend. You're looking for an easy romance read, I definitely recommend that you pick up this book. Katherine, she writes really nicely. I love her books, right? Even though I've read just 2, I'm looking forward to reading more books by Katherine, right? No spice, cute romance reads. Like, you're definitely going to get that from Katherine, and I 100% recommend her books. Even though this was a 3-star for me, I did not love it, but I still would recommend this book, right? So it's a book about an actor and his bodyguard falling in love with each other. If that's something you'd like to read, definitely go for this book. My overall rating for The Bodyguard was 3 stars. My overall rating for The Bodyguard was 3 stars. So the next book that I'm actually going to be talking about is Problematic Summer Romance by Hazelwood. So if you watch my 2026 reading goals video, I talked about how one of my goals was to read more fiction, and I definitely did want to look into certain authors, right? Hazelwood, Emily Henry. So I was able to do that, and I have been able to do that this month of February. So I read Problematic Summer Romance. Problematic Summer Romance follows the story of Maya. She's a physics graduate, right? Her field is physics, right? And if you know anything about Hazelwood, you know that she writes STEM romances. So Maya, she studied physics, and that's basically her field. And now she wants to make a decision whether to work, in a particular place or in another place. I don't remember 100%. Maya is in love with her elder brother's best friend, Connor, right? So Maya is 23 and Connor is 38, and that's the main thing, right? This is the main thing, because the age difference is a lot, right? That's 15 years, and it's really crazy, right? But the book did not make it seem crazy, and it might seem like okay, this is actually okay, because Maya and Connor, they only actually ever had anything to do with each other when Maya was legal, right? So I think like they did not really become acquainted with each other, even though like from when she was young and everything, she had known about Connor. She knew that, oh, this is my brother's best friend and all of that. Her and Connor and and her brother, they have a business together. Like, they actually have a biomedical research institute or something like that, right? So they are really, really rich. They have a lot of money, right? All of that together. So they knew about each other, but they were never acquainted with each other. I think the first time they were acquainted with each other was when Maya was 20. She's attracted to him. She likes him. She's interested in him and everything. But obviously, it's like, girl, it's like, girl, we have a 15-year age difference. Like, I'm definitely not going to have anything to do with you, right? But she's like, bro, age is just a number, right? So that's the back and forth between them. So now Maya's elder brother is getting married, right? He's getting married, and it's a destination wedding. So the wedding is taking place in Italy, right? And so Maya and Connor, they get to be in this like same space or the same environment, and that's something that Connor has actually been avoiding, right? The book just takes us through everything. The book just takes us through Maya and Connor's story, and if despite all these challenges, if they are actually able to get together at the end of the day with their age difference, the power play theme that Connor is always talking about, all those things, right? If they actually end up together at the end of the day. Right, so my thoughts on this particular book, my thoughts on problematic summer romance, right? Problematic summer romance. I don't know what I was expecting from this book, right? But I have to admit that Hazelwood is like, she's a good writer. She's a good writer. Like, the descriptions, all those things are really, 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 really good, and I truly do appreciate that, right? She was also nice and all of that. Like, it was well written, I have to admit that. And the fact that it was also a STEM romance is not like something, I don't know, maybe I don't read a lot of books like that, but it's not like it's something that you would see like everywhere, like, oh, STEM, like, oh, the main characters are in STEM. The lady, she's like who studies physics. I mean, people do study physics, but it's not like every day that you'd see a story following a girl who studied physics and the guy is a biomedical whatever, things like that. So the fact that it was a STEM romance was actually really good. I loved the descriptions, I loved everything, I loved the whole STEM and sciencey field that the book had. There was a point where Maya was like, because of Connor, she went to study the relationship between the zygomatic bone and the maxilla, and I was like, because I took some anatomy courses and everything, and I was like, oh, I should have listened better in class. Maybe I would have actually known the relationship. But the maxilla, the zygomatic bone, let me not even go down that slope, right? Anyway, so I really like that there was this whole sciencey feel to it. It was really well written. But the issue for me was, you can probably guess, the spice. The issue for me, the spice, the explicit scenes, and the language. It was just too much for me. And because of that, I ended up DNFing the book. Right, I'm definitely going to DNF any book that just has so much of that, right? Like, so much spice, so much explicit scenes, like too much strong language, right? Because it's not healthy for me. It's not healthy for my mind. It's not healthy for me. And I also, would say that as much as you can, please try and stay away from books that just delve deeply into things like that. Explicit scenes, spice, all those things, they are not healthy, right? They are not healthy for your mind. They are not healthy for your soul. They leave effects, and that's the truth. But overall, I just gave this book 3 stars, and I don't know if I should give books that I DNF ratings, but this book, I gave it 3 stars because it was well written. But my issue was just the language. My issue was the spice. The next book that I read was Funny Story by Emily Henry, right? So I wanted to read Emily Henry. I realized that I actually read a book by Emily Henry last year, and that was Happy Place. I did not like Happy Place, right? But I gave Emily Henry another chance, and the story basically follows the story of Daphne. Daphne is a librarian, and she's getting married to, the love of her life. She's getting married to Peter. Only that Peter calls up their wedding, right? Because now he has realized that he's actually in love with his childhood best friend Petra, right? And everything. So Petra was in a relationship with another person called Miles, and obviously she leaves Miles for Peter too. So Daphne is in a fix, right? Because she was already living with Peter. Guys, you see, she was already living with Peter. Say no to living together before the wedding. Anyways, so because she was already living with Peter, all of that. She had even moved states, right? She had moved from where she used to live. She had moved to Michigan, to just start her life with Peter. Everything. Like, her whole life was now in Michigan, right? Only for him to call off the wedding and call off everything. Like, oh, I'm in love with my best friend, even though I had already told you that there was nothing between us, right? And all of that. So now she moves in with Miles, right? She's moving in with another person now, but let me not speak on that. Anyway, so she moves in with Miles, who was Petra's, the person Petra was with before. She moves in with Miles, and they are now housemates. They are living in the same house and everything. And just to because Peter and Petra are now getting married, and Peter and Petra, they are so silly and everything. They invite Miles and Daphne to their wedding, right? It's like, please, who does that? But they should invite them to their wedding and like to sort of get back at their exes. Daphne and Miles, they pretend to be in a relationship, and this whole fake dating. I think I'm tired of this fake dating trope. Anyways, let's just move aside. Maybe I just want the book where it's done well. Like, it was done well, right? It was done well, but it's not just my fancy. They are living in the same house. They spend so much time together, and obviously, like, what do you expect? They would obviously develop feelings for each other. My thoughts on the book: I actually DNF'd this book, right? For the same reason that I DNF problematic summer romance. You can guess by now. Too much spice, too much language, too much explicitity, and I did not need that. I tried to push through, but it was too there. It was too present. It was just all up in my face. I could not push through. I could not power through. Right? I had to DNF the book, but I do appreciate the plot. I liked the plot, right? I appreciate the writing and the descriptions, right? Because like Emily Henry also, she writes really well. She also writes really well and everything. So I appreciated all those things. I think my favorite part of the book was like the start of the book and the end of the book had like the same theme. I don't know how to explain it, but how the book started is how the book ended. That's just what I'll say. The book started in a particular way, and the book ended in like that same way, only that the roles were like sort of reversed, and it was like so wholesome. It was like a full circle moment, and I really appreciated that, because at the point I was like, nah, I'm not doing this again, and then I just skipped to the end of the book, right? I had to DNF it. Funny story was also a 3-star for me, because of the spice, right? Because of the spice and the strong language. It was just too much. But like, if Hazelwood and Emily Henry, if they started writing like clean romance, I feel like it would be the bomb. I feel like it would be really, really, really good, and I would definitely read it like and eat it up, right? Because they write so well, right? They write so well, and that I think like that's the hard part, but that's the painful part, that you guys write so well, but I can't even like enjoy your writing. I cannot enjoy your book because the spice is just so much. There's just so much cussing. There's just so much explicit scenes and everything that for somebody that wants to protect their mind, somebody that wants to guard their heart, right? Like, I cannot read these books comfortably, right? Because they will not have good effects on my mind. And that's just the thing, that if I constantly like sort of expose myself to, cussing, and I'm seeing words like this all over the pages, right? And I'm reading it, like, to an extent, before I know it, it might just slip out of my mouth one day. And that's how it actually works. That the more I spend time with these sort of things, right, it becomes a part of me, right? The more I spend time, let's say, reading curse words, or reading explicit scenes, or reading spice, I might think about it. Like, I'll be thinking about it more, right? Thinking about it more. And maybe one day, and especially because different people read these kind of books, right? It's like 12-year-olds, 13-year-olds, best believe, right? Because I don't even want to start, like, even younger than that, because I know like when I joined Wattpad, I was like, let's say 9, right? 9 thereabouts, right? So like different people actually read these books, and that young ages like that, people, I feel like young people, or like, we're all impressionable, but like for people like young children, their minds are just forming. They must be like, oh, okay, can I try this out? Maybe I should try this out, right? So where was I? So like, I just think that books like this are just books that we should avoid, like, altogether. Avoid it. Do your mind a favor, do your heart a favor, and just guard your heart. And the Bible is so particular, like, guard your heart with all understanding. From your heart flows the issues of life, right? So it's what is going into your heart is what's flowing into you that would actually flow out of you. So if what is flowing into me is like lustful thoughts, conversations like this, all these spicy things, this is what is flowing into me, like, it would eventually, one way or the other, flow out of me. Like, you just have to be really intentional about guarding your heart, guarding the books, guarding your heart, right? Being intentional about what you're consuming, what you're reading, what you're listening to, the people you keep around you. Just being really, really, really intentional, because you know that all these things actually have effects on me, and it might not be immediate, but like, it's cumulative and stuff like that. So after all of this, I was just tired. I was like, oh my god, I'm tired of all these spicy books. Like, I need something clean. I need a no spice book. And so I hopped on Reading with Rosie's Instagram page. I found 2 books, right? Was it two? I think it was one, and then it led me to another. So the next book was The Wrong Kind of Falling, The Wrong Kind of Falling by Whitney. Amazen, right? And this book was amazing, relatively, right? So this book follows Sebastian and Romilly, right? Sebastian and Romilly. So Sebastian is a boxer, right? That's his passion, right? And that's the career that he wants to pursue, a boxing career, a fighting career. But his parents are not in support. His parents want him to take over their auction business sort of thing. But he's like, nah, I'm interested in this career path. I want you guys to support me. But if you're not supporting me, like, I'm actually going to leave, that sort of thing, right? So they cut him off and he has to like leave their house, and his sister follows him. So they move from like Australia to the USA. Crazy stuff, right? But eventually, like, their parents actually like cut them off, so they're not even getting money from their parents, even though they are living in their parents' other house, right? At least they shall have accommodation, right? But you know, they don't have a lot of money because they're sort of cut off from their parents and everything. So Romilly has a business where she like takes care of dogs, basically. So people bring their dogs, she baits them, she takes care of them, she freshens them up, all of that and everything. So they shall meet. Romilly and Sebastian meet. They meet at church. So Sebastian and Romilly meet, and eventually Sebastian, because he needs money, he needs to get sponsors for his fighting career, all of that. And Romilly has to, you know, raise the ratings of her salon or raise the ratings of her businesses so that she can get help to just ensure that the business is, you know, afloat and everything. So Sebastian just starts working for Romilly, starts working in her business, and you know, coupled with the fact that they are going to the same church, they're both counselors or summer camp counselors for their camp, for their church camp and all of that. They start spending time together, and they eventually just, they spend all of this time together, and we just get to witness Sebastian and Romilly in this story. We get to witness them, we get to see Sebastian, we get to see Romilly and everything, and that's basically like the idea behind The Wrong Kind of Falling. And so my thoughts on this book, I really, really like it when you read a book and you find out why a book is, you know, named the way it is. So The Wrong Kind of Falling, right? So I'm not going to say why it is, you know, The Wrong Kind of Falling. You can actually check out this book. This book is safe. You can actually check out the book to find out why this book is called The Wrong Kind of Falling, right? So this book was a really nice book. It was really nice, really cute, really easy to read. I really liked Sebastian. Maybe not really, but I liked Sebastian and Romilly's story. One, they met in church, right? So this two characters are always going to church, and even apart from, you know, just going to church, they also have their relationship with God and they live it out, right? So both characters have their relationship with God, and you just see how, you know, there's just this sort of intentionality with their work with God. You know, like Bash, you'd see how Bash is always particular about reading his Bible, you know, before starting his day. So like dependence on God, trusting God, you know, these things are just exemplified, or these things are shown and portrayed in this book. And another thing is, you know, just that dependence on God. Oh God, I need your help. God, I need your help. We see it in these characters. We see it in these two characters. We see how, you know, they just had relationships with God. And I think another thing that we really see in this book is because Sebastian had like reservations about church, right? Due to church hurt and everything, because, you know, like he had faced judgmental people in the church, people abandoning him, people judging him because of his appearance, because of different things, right? See how he got out of that. We see how, you know, like he eventually found a church that was like good. We also see how Sebastian and Romilly like went into the relationship, or even before getting into a relationship, all of that, they had reservations about relationships because of their past experiences. With Sebastian, he did not want anything to, you know, keep him restricted, and with Romilly, because of how our former relationship ended. So this was a really, really nice book, and my overall rating for this book was 4 stars. This was a 4-star read. I enjoyed reading it. It was a nice read, and I think you would enjoy reading it. I think my only reservation was the fact that I was just like, you guys, you're not yet in a relationship, right? Like, why are you, you know, exchanging fluid with each other? Why are you kissing each other? Because I don't think that, like, outside of a relationship, you should be doing that, right? Anyways, so the last romance book that I read was Great and Glamour. Great and Glamour by B.R. Goodwin. I hope I got it right. So this book follows Chloe and Roman Rivers. So in this book, we have another actor. So Roman Rivers is an actor, he's famous and everything, but he's also sort of low-key, and he has this privacy sort of thing. So Chloe starts working for Roman Rivers, and she starts working as a chef. Finds out that our job scope also includes taking care of Roman Rivers, younger sister, right? So she's like sort of a nanny for his younger sister. Yes, she's still working as a chef, but her job scope and her job description is also like taking care of his younger sister Olivia, right? So like I said, Roman Rivers is an actor and he does not want anybody to find out about his younger sister, right? Roman and Chloe, you know, they start spending time with each other, they get to know each other, all of that. But Roman doesn't exactly want to pursue her because it's just like, oh, this might actually affect the relationship that she has going on with my sister. My sister is the priority and I don't want that to shift at all. And on Chloe's end, I mean, Chloe has always, you know, been obsessed with Roman ever since she was younger because he's an actor, right? And all of that. But eventually we just get to see Roman and Chloe's story. We get to see their story. So this book was also really nice, right? It was a nice read. You don't see spice or strong language, right? This book had faith themes as well, but I think for me this book was a bit too cheesy, right? So that I could not continue. It was just too much. I was like, oh my god, this is too cheesy for me. There's too much kissing, there's too much cheesiness. So I was like, nah, I'm not going to continue. Because I was like, let me just go through, let me just force my way through. But I was like, I don't actually have to complete this book, so I ended up DNFing the book. But you know, there were faith themes, like I said, and it was just really nice because both of them had relationships with God. Both of the main characters had relationships with God and everything. And we also see a realization that just came to one of the characters where it was like, oh, this platform that I have is actually, you know, for God's glory. This platform that I have so many fans, I have this great following and audience, like this should actually be for the glory of God. And I was like, how we just realized that it's just really important to train up the people around me, to train my children, to train them up in the way of the Lord, right? So, you know, it had faith themes. So if you like that and, you know, you don't mind cheesy, right? Definitely have a read Great and Glamour. It was cute, right? It was a nice read, and overall this was like a 3-star read for me. Those are the 5 romance books that I read in the month of February, and I'm not even reading any romance again. I've read enough to last me the entire year. Like, I'm oversaturated. Or is it saturated? I'm oversaturated and I'm done, you know, with romance for till further notice. I just couldn't end this video without chipping this in. So there was another book that I read in February. In fact, this was the first book that I read in February, and it's my first read of the year of 2026, and that was none other than Love Code. Yes, I know Love Code is not a romance book, right? But it's a book on relationships, on love, and on marriage. And if this is the only book you read out of all the books that I've spoken on in this video, I think you should be fine. I think you should be fine, right? You should be fine. So this book explores relationships. It explores, you know, the beauty of singleness. It explores things you should look out for even before going into an institution as you know, as important, as sacred, as life-changing, either positive or negative. It can be positive or negative as marriage, right? So this book, like, this is a must read. This is definitely a must read. It even takes us through red flags. It takes us through just like important factors to consider even before going into marriage, or even before going into a relationship with somebody. So this book is really important, Love Code. And I do think that this is a book that everybody should read, right? Everybody should read Love Code by Pastor Emmanuel. Did I say Pastor Apostle, right? By Apostle Emmanuel Aaron. So this is definitely a book that you should read, right? And I think with that, we've come to the end of this video. This was a bit stressful, I can't even lie, but I'm grateful that I'm talking to you. And I just want you to make sure that you just click subscribe, drop a like on this video, and also turn on push notifications so that when new videos come out, you are actually the first to know. So thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you're leaving with 1 book or 2 books that you'll be able to read. You made it till the end. Please make sure you drop a like, make sure you subscribe, make sure you turn on push notifications, and make sure you also share the video to somebody that needs to read better, you know, in this month. So thank you so much for watching. Make sure you stay reading, and I'll see you next week. Bye. God's grace.